Good morning. Make sure I've got my own voice this morning. Thank you for joining today. This is a great opportunity for us to talk about cybersecurity. What an amazing event. I've been very impressed with everything that the folks are doing here. And I'm here as a CISO for operations technology for Fortinet, but I'm a practitioner first. I've spent 25 plus years in security, way back when we didn't call it security and we were just part of IT and doing security things. And now I think I've got like 85 slides for everybody. Everybody's good with that, right? In 20 minutes? Kidding. So you're hearing everybody talk about how much maritime is changing, the digital transformation of things. I speak around the globe, and this seems to be such a topic that everybody is experiencing. Obviously, in maritime, it's a little different, just from the standpoint of, and really it's like OT in general, right? So we don't move as quickly as other industries. What I find amazing, what you guys are doing, is you actually are. You're stepping out and going into areas like when I was speaking yesterday, how the port authorities the port is going to be 5G. I speak to folks all over the world, and no one's doing 5G yet, other than just kind of dipping a toe in and thinking about it. So your digital transformation is going to go, I think, faster than a lot of people experience. And these are things that you know of, but also just some things that you should be aware of. Like the Safety for Sea found key trends shaping the maritime trade. E-commerce expansion outlives the pandemic, driven by changing consumer habits and technology. Personal experience, I don't know if my family shops more now than before, but I think Amazon tells me that we do. And so since there's so much stuff that comes in via, from a supply chain that comes via, maritime, it's amazing how much is touching, but also how quick things are changing. And this obviously my view is I'm North America, but I would assume that this is the same with you guys in Asia as well. And even more so because it's coming from a lot of places here. Animation. So a couple of topics we want to talk about is the threats impacting maritime, the guidelines becoming stricter, and cyber resiliency and operations technology. And I quit counting, but I know at least half a dozen times in the last day, 24 hours, cyber resiliency or resiliency in general continues to bubble to the top. As a security professional, we quite often have to tackle the things that are hard to do, but we don't always think about resiliency and how does that impact the organization and how to stay up. And we need to be more cognizant of that. So, obviously I'm setting the stage here. Who is targeting maritime and how is it being attacked, right? So phishing, ransomware, DDoS, malware, jamming, spoofing, internal threats, device vulnerabilities, these aren't new to us, right? We're paying attention a little more. I think, if you look at the industry, it's the boards are paying attention more. So they're asking great questions, which is not what we used to have. So now we have to be more diligent in how we're going to answer those questions. And as a Fortinet associate, I speak with our threat intel teams on a regular basis, and we're finding cybercrime as a service, ransomware as a service, major upticks. They're not going away, which is going to make all of our lives just a little bit more challenging. I'm not a PowerPoint guru, so I worked at this about 1 o'clock in the morning. So if you see something that's wrong, by all means, give me some grace. But I wanted to talk about this in general. In OT, we quite often, when I do presentations, we talk about everything from Stuxnet to now. But I wanted to narrow it down specifically from a maritime perspective, and just real quickly from 2018 to 2023, how many events that we've had that are the cyber events that companies are dealing with today. So if you think that it's not affecting you, think again. It is. It's a global problem. You may know some of these ports. It may be your ports in there. All public knowledge. I didn't provide any detail on finances because it's not available yet on these, which is a bit unfortunate because a lot of times finances are what actually make the difference when you're talking to your board and you're talking to your totally lost it. Talking to your board and you're talking to your other organizations within the teams, because it's really a lot of times if you can put it down to dollars and cents, U.S. obviously, into financials, it makes a huge difference on how they're going to pay attention. If you look at like 2017, you had Merck and Maersk, right? Before that in OT, we had Stuxnet. People, they knew about it. No one was paying attention. You get 2017, when you get a company like Merck that spends $1 billion US to get back to zero, all of a sudden everybody starts paying attention. So if you can, as you're trying to get this information, to consume this information, and you're working with your boards and you're working with your security committees, if you can understand what the impact will be if you're down for an hour, for a day, for a week, and be able to bring that into financial impact, it will help you when you're looking at trying to, from budgets to understanding what you need to do to sell the business, to consume more security, and really to partner with more security. And again, ransomware is an extremely high concern. Not a new thing. If you're not familiar, so the first known ransomware was 1989, or the 1900s, as my kids would say. If you're old like me, that's kind of painful. But today, 2021, ransomware was a $20 billion US number, right? In 2031, $265 billion. That's over 1,000% growth. Imagine if your companies could grow by 1,000%. You had unlimited funds, unlimited opportunities. But think of that from the adversary perspective. They're growing by 1,000% in a very short period of time. They have those unlimited funds, unlimited opportunities to come after us, right? It's the old adage of they have to be right once, we have to be right every time. Many of that previous slide, by the way, of the maritime ports, the majority of those were ransomware attacks, by the way. This is a survey that we, Fortinet, put out, and I'm sure we can make it available for you. But if you look at the fact that 9 out of 10 OT organizations experience at least one intrusion, right? 68%, 3 or more. This problem is not going away. We're going to try to get through these to the end. I think we're going to try to have some questions as well. So what is vulnerable, right? Obviously the shipboard systems, your critical systems, your GPS navigation systems. But right here is really we look at the consequences of cyber attack. The one that resonates for me personally the most on the impact is actually at the bottom, unfortunately, but it's the environmental and human, safety. Just to bring humanity into it, right? We have an obligation, obviously, to protect organizations, but we also have an obligation to protect our people. In IT, typically, if they have a problem, email's down. It's a problem, but it's not really a problem, right? We have a different situation where literally human lives could be at stake. We are having stricter cybersecurity measures. What I always recommend to people is partner with those entities that are creating, those regulations. In cybersecurity, throughout my career, it's been more adversarial. Compliance versus security. Security is not compliance, that sort of thing. But unless you have an incident to move that needle, a lot of times you can use the compliance space, those regulations, to help you. Be a part of that, right? Engage with those entities to influence, to help, not just your company, but the industry to be more secure. And this is just another example of the regulations. I'm sure you're familiar with E26 to E27. Again, I can't stress it enough. And actually, Chairman, I like the fact that you went through the exercise of saying, we need to do information sharing, and we need to collaborate. And that's back to this, right? So be a part of the experience. We cannot do this ourselves. And that's really what I'm going to get into from a resilience perspective. So you're going to have a systematic and pragmatic approach. When you get into, how do I do this? It's not rocket science, but it kind of is at the same time, right? But if you just look at it and you break it down in simple steps, and then dig deeper, right? So, you got to secure your IT systems. Let's identify what you have, identify who has access, identify vulnerability approaches to your system, create and execute a plan, have threat intel, incident response, and build resiliency everywhere. So now I get to step 2, OT, same thing, right? Do it differently. You're gonna have some threat vectors differently, and you're gonna have to be more specific and methodical when you make those changes and introduce change, right? So it's really the world of compensated controls. Their nirvana is the proactive and in-depth. So I've been doing this a long time. It is nirvana. You're going to always be trying to get better. The threats change by the hour. We don't deal with Moore's law. We have 18 months. You have 18 minutes sometimes if you're lucky, right? But that doesn't mean don't keep trying. And that's, really from a positive perspective, isn't that why we're here? What a great opportunity to meet with other people and ask them what they're doing from their organizations and how they're protecting their maritime companies. This is a specific, system we put, or a integrator that we put up, just more as an example. There's some great integrators out there. I had a great leader that I worked with for many years, and she would say, fail fast, partner often, right? So if you're a project management person, it's about being, that agile, be flexible is really what it means. But you gotta fail fast, you gotta partner often. You cannot do it all yourself. It's no way. And that's where it comes down to it. So what I always say is, be humble. We all could use a lot more humility within the world, right? And know that you can't have all the answers. Have smart people around you. Have teams. Share your knowledge. Be part of that experience. And then together, we're all fighting the same adversaries a lot of times. But together, we can actually accomplish something. Now, on to our questions. Get on that. Sorry, it was a little quick, but we wanted to get to the last 5 minutes of questions, if there are any.
Shall we put the questions on the screen? Do we have?
And if I can't answer them, I'll see if I can get you an answer.
We are in the midst of allowing the question to come in. Perhaps we can take one, or we have it on screen now.
Are you aware of any cyber incidents, security incidents, that have disabled a ship? At this point in time, I have not. I'm not aware of, but I'm sure I can get that information from our intel team. That's normally where I get my information, is from our cyber threat intel team. and we can share that for sure. It's a great question, and it's one that as a security professional you want to know because it helps set the stage of what's next, right? So I've got.
Can we have the additional questions, if any?
Is there a place to go to get an overview of global maritime cyber threats? We have one privacy recap, and maybe we need the same for cyber.
We have a question.
Yeah. I would say absolutely we need the same for cyber, right? I think it's Fortinet.com/threat intel, I believe, is where what I would recommend. Obviously, I'm a Fortinet branded associate, but there are a lot of great intels out there. Do you have ISAC here? All right. Yeah. So like, well, we would have information sharing associations. It's not like you have very similar. Be a part of that, and then share that information as you go. Aggregate it, because what you may get multiples of the same thing, but all in all, the more intel you can take in, the better prepared you are, and you know, it's all about that cyber resiliency, right? And so it says, are you able to share some more details on the ransomware attacks that impacted shipping? So it's actually in my slide deck that they'll be able to share on those. There's like, I think there was 13 or 14 within a few years. And so it will be in that slide deck that they'll be sharing with everybody. My marketing director back home would be upset with me because there's dead air. She's a radio person. We'll go one more question if we have any. Otherwise, I will be in the booth, or I'll be downstairs, but I'm also around throughout the day. By all means, grab me, pull me aside, ask your questions. You know, if you're too nervous to ask your questions up front, or if you just you have something specific you want to find out, if I can get it for you, I will. Other than that, I think we're going to pass it along.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.